96.5 The Fox, the new evolution of classic rock, free beer, hot wings every weekday morning, and another great show coming to Bismarck this summer. August 15th, Alice in Chains with special guest Monster Truck, and nice enough to be joined on the phone by Jeremy from Monster Truck right now. And Jeremy, is it true that you guys just wrapped up like 10 weeks of touring?
We sure did, man. We saw just about everything we could see in that amount of time, too.
Now, did you play the States? Did you play Canada? Did you just play North America? Did you go overseas?
We started out the tour in Europe, and we did this run called Lords of the Riff through Team Rock over there with Metal Hammer magazine and Classic Rock magazine, and we did with this band called Scorpion Child from Texas. And we did about 4 weeks over there, some of our own headlining shows in Germany. Then we flew straight to Dallas and met up with Alter Bridge and did 3 weeks with Alter Bridge. And then we met up with Alice in Chains and did 3 weeks with Alice in Chains. 6 weeks in America, 4 weeks in Europe, and we're back home safe.
Well, that's good. And then you're heading back out on the road here relatively soon.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, we're getting cracking in with all the summer festivals here in Canada. We got a lot of local festivals to hit up, and we got a pretty good fan base here at home that we've kind of been neglecting for the last half a year. So we're going to do all that up, and we're going to hit the road again with Alice in Chains in August. And then it looks like we're putting together another run in Europe for the fall. So it is nonstop trucking.
It sounds like it. Now, you mentioned you guys are from Canada. You've based out of there, and I think a lot of people are probably surprised when they hear you for the first time that you're actually from Canada, because you don't fit the Canada rock band mold. You've got a very bluesy sound, a very southern rock sound. Who would you say influenced the sound of Monster Truck?
Oh, man, just a lot of American and British classic rock, you know. We also grew up in the grunge area and listened to a lot of Soundgarden, a lot of Rage Against the Machine. Pretty much the only thing we didn't really listen to rock-wise was Canadian rock. And that was something that just kind of was just what we just did not gravitate towards, the kind of the Canadian rock sound. We constantly go out and tour in the U.S. and, people are always like, oh, where are you guys from? Tennessee, Florida, They think we're anywhere but Canada, and it's always funny to see the reaction when we tell them that we're from north of the border. But, like I said, it's just a natural gravitation we had towards that kind of rock and roll music. It just kind of naturally found its way into our music. And, we're proud of it because it's really kind of helped us spread out of Canada, which some bands have had a hard time getting out of Canada, and I think we're starting to see that that the kind of sound that we have that kind of just happened on its own is really helping us get across the border, which is something that's kind of really important if you want to kind of make a career out of it.
So when you guys got Monster Truck going, you didn't really have a plan to really go after that American sound. It just kind of happened.
No, I mean, we had no game plan other than to get drunk and play rock music. We were really gonna just stick to the local scene and play bars and just kind of have fun with it. We were in at that time a bunch of more serious bands, that were trying to do those things, that were trying to tour, were working towards trying to get out of the country, or record deals, or whatever it was, whatever you consider professional musician. And we just decided to do this for fun, and this is something that kind of just morphed into something a lot more serious once we started seeing the reaction that we were getting when we were playing live shows. And we kind of had to make that choice eventually, where we had to decide, are we just going to keep this as a local bar band, or are we going to take it on the road? And based on the reactions that we got, it was kind of a decision that was made for us.
Now, when you started getting that recognition from fans and people coming to the shows and then record labels, was it easy for you guys to make the decision to move forward with Monster Truck and kind of leave the other bands behind?
That side of the decision was kind of, like I said, like it was made for us, We were just getting all these great offers. The real decision that we had to make was whether or not we wanted to actually go into that side of the business, where you start dealing with labels or booking agents, bigger promoters, all the kind of baggage that comes along with that is something that we kind of were trying to avoid from the beginning. So we kind of had to sit down and decide whether or not we wanted to jump into that whole side of things, and that was where it got a little more tricky because, we had shied away from that from the beginning as we just didn't want to get involved. It can be a real pain in the ass. So we kind of just decided, we'd learned so much from the other bands that we've been in. We're all over 30 years old. We'd learned a lot of really good lessons from being kind of the secondary or third members of other bands that were more serious, and we just took that knowledge and used it to help kind of shape the kind of career that we wanted to make for ourselves, in addition to picking, the right people to work with the band to help us get what we wanted to get out of it.
Now, you guys, as you mentioned before, you have a huge following in Canada. You've won a Juno Award. You've had #1 records, sold a ton of albums up there. Were you nervous about making the decision, I guess, to leave Canada and venture out into the States, overseas to Europe? Were you guys nervous about what the what the reaction might be once you guys got out there?
No, not really. I mean, I was only nervous for maybe the logistical aspects of doing adventures like that, whether it's the long flights or just when we went to Europe, I was a little nervous about the way, we would be traveling around and how, we'd have to get, almost like a guide to help us get us around the crazy highways over there. I wasn't really nervous about the shows. I was really more excited than anything. Europe and the UK has shown us a ton of love right out of the gate, and we went from being completely unheard of over there to now being able to go do our own shows and, do 200-300 people a night, which to me is a complete mind blow in the fact that, that's the kind of momentum that took us about 3 years to gain in Canada, and we've only been there twice, and now we're already in a situation where we can go and do our own headline shows over there, which is something that has always taken a massive amount of effort in every other territory that we've been in. The United States has been tough for us because it's just so big and so separated as far as there's no blanket coverage that you can really get in the U.S. that kind of encompasses all things. So that's just been a little bit of a hurdle, but the nerves are in check, man. We feel real good about the record we put out last year. We feel real good every time we get a great tour with Alice in Chains or Alter Bridge or Slash or whoever it's been. They've always given us a ton of support, which gives us a lot of confidence. Everything's good, man. We feel great, and we're really excited to work on another record. Man, it's all groovy. We're in a great spot. We're appreciative and have a ton of gratitude for everyone that's helped us out.
And as you mentioned, you decide to take Monster Truck out on the road, and then all of a sudden you're opening for Deep Purple and Slash and Alter Bridge and Alice in Chains. What was that like as four dudes coming out of Canada, all of a sudden you're opening for these massive acts?
Yeah, I mean, that was something that kind of just came about, through the help that we'd gotten through our management who has those kind of connections to at least get us heard by them. They don't necessarily have the clout. I don't think anybody has the clout to just put you on those shows. You've got to have your sound heard by those people, and they have to make the choice on whether or not they want you there. And again, that was part of the whole confidence building process of having those bands select us to open for them, especially even this last U.S. tour. We're opening these shows for Alter Bridge and Alice in Chains. We are not at that level yet in the United States to get those spots, through the normal political, outlets of going through agents and promoters. That's a situation you only get those slots if the band picks you to come and open for them, and I'm sure there's a ton of other American bands that were vying for those positions, looking at us and being like, who the hell is Monster Truck, and why are they on these shows? And, the answer is that we've done those tours in Canada with those people, and they like to have us out, and it's a testament to them being really cool dudes and being able to call their own shots, because not all bands get to do that. And it's a testament to us, to being a band on that slot that will come in and we'll do 30 or 40 minutes. We take care of our own business. We run our own show. We carry our own gear. We're still at that level where we breaking our backs to make ourselves known. And they're happy to help us out, and we couldn't be more grateful for the opportunity.
So as a guy who grew up in the 90s in the grunge era, what is it like when Jerry Cantrell says, I want Monster Truck to open our tour?
Yeah, it's still a trip, man. I mean, the first time we did it in Canada, I don't really think they knew who we were. It was more so we've just done really well over here, and we were a good fit for those shows. But when they heard us, they made a point to come over and say what's up, and introduce themselves, and they were very, very supportive as far as making sure that we were taken care of, and like I said, getting us out on those additional tours, even helping us with gear and letting their crew that is supposed to be working on all their stuff and helping their stuff out. They all come and lend us a hand when we need help. If I got a guitar that needs work, or even if we need some help running the front of house sound, they've thrown in their all their people and their man hours into that. And to me, that's something that just doesn't really happen anymore. In fact, the old school way was to kind of try and outdo each other and have the opener be louder or the headliner be louder. It was like a big competition. So it's really cool for us to be on the road with them and see that it's all about kind of community and family, and they're just, I swear to God, Alter Bridge and Alice in Chains, they're two of the bands that are just doing it right as far as just being great human beings and being approachable. And it's just, I honestly can't say enough about them, because we've seen the other side of things, and to see it done right is a real treat.
Speaking of the other side of things, and I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus here by any means, but what was it like playing with Guns N' Roses?
You know what, man, that was cool too, because, really, I think the main person, and I think we all know, Axl is the kind of guy that catches the most flack in that band, but he's not around. He's off somewhere else before the show. He's earned that right to be at the hotel until showtime. we're dealing with their I wish I remembered his name, because it was, our drummer Steve really broke down with their drummer, and we got to know their crew, and we got to know the people that run that camp, and they were all nice too. I mean, I wish I had some interesting or sexy dirt for you, but it was really another situation where we played with them once in Buffalo, and they were really cool about it. They went on stage on time, they put on a crazy show, and then next thing you know, they were doing this, what turned out to be the biggest show we've ever played in Quebec City, and they asked to have us open again. And it was another one of those things where we got this opportunity that we weren't even really in line for, based on the kind of good vibes that we had with the first show in Buffalo. And next thing you know, we were playing in front of 40,000 people in Quebec. So, I hate to just put it under rainbows and sugarcoat the crap out of it, but that's just the way it's been going for us. And we really haven't had any bad run-ins with anybody, really. I mean, you kind of hear stories about this band or that band, but we've never experienced it like firsthand, where we're getting treated like subordinates or something. So, man, nothing but good vibes, man. We try and keep it easy. We if we're in those situations, we try and stay out of people's way, and we just keep rocking, and it keeps working out.
Well, it looks like this summer you may play an even bigger show, because you're scheduled to play a festival up in Canada with Metallica. How do you prepare to share the stage with Metallica?
And in those situations, whether it's, when we got the Deep Purple stuff or whatever, I just try not to think about it too much, which, we're pretty busy. And, I think the damage that we've done to ourselves, whether with booze or smoking, we basically have allowed ourselves to have short memory spans. So I try not to worry about it. I try not to think about it. And then, and when it does pop into your mind, you kind of remind yourself that you've done those shows, you've been in those spots, you've played for that many people. And the funny part about that show is we are literally the first band on the main stage that day, and they're the last. So you really couldn't put a bigger gap between us and them going on if you tried. I imagine they might not even be out of bed by the time we hit the stage. So it's pretty easy in that regard. We're playing in Montreal, which if you haven't been to Montreal before, it's probably one of the funnest cities in Canada to be in. And it's right before we start our tour with Alice in Chains. So, all good stuff, man. All good stuff.
Well, you'll be back on stage here in Bismarck August 15th. What can we expect from Monster Truck and Alice in Chains that night?
You know what, man? As far as we're concerned, for sure. I mean, if anyone's not heard the band before, it's really just straight up rock and roll music. You kind of nailed it. It's just like Southern blues, a little bit of riff rock if you like Clutch. If you like Soundgarden, Rage Against the Machine with a little bit of Zeppelin and Sabbath, man, that's kind of our vibe. And then as far as Alice in Chains is concerned, I don't even know if I need to pump them up. If you know that band, they pretty much lay it down exactly the way you would want to hear it. It's just a great, great live act that play everything that you want to hear and more. And good light show too. Everything is tip top. It'll be a great night of music.
I'll tell you what, having seen Alice in Chains quite a few times and having seen Monster Truck before, I can't wait to see you guys together on stage August 15th, the Bismarck Civic Center. Jeremy from Monster Truck, thank you so much. I know you're trying to relax, so I appreciate you taking the time.
That was a nice break, man. Good to talk to you, and I'll see you in a couple months.